She walked in with someone else's purse. Not similar. Not mistaken. Completely different. Tan leather with a gold zipper. Nothing like the navy blue bag I bought her last Christmas that she swore she'd carry until it fell apart. She didn't notice me at first. Just kicked off her heels, dropped the purse on the kitchen table like it was hers, and went straight for the fridge. Opened it. Stared at the orange juice for a few seconds. Then she finally looked up. "Morning," she said, like nothing was wrong. But everything was wrong. First, she wasn't wearing the outfit she left in. She had on someone's oversized t-shirt with Savannah Jazz Festival 2019 on the front, and we've never been to Savannah. Her hair was damp. Not like she'd showered, like she'd been rained on. And her phone, it was missing. I didn't say anything. I just glanced at the purse again. That's when I noticed the receipt poking out the side pocket. The logo wasn't from a restaurant or gas station. It was from a pharmacy, a 24-hour one, dated 3:11 a.m. And the item? Emergency contraception. She followed my gaze. Her face didn't even flinch. She reached for the receipt like it was nothing, folded it once, twice, then slid it into her pocket with slow fingers, never breaking eye contact, never apologizing. Then she smiled. A real one. "You're going to overthink this, Ellis. Please don't." That's when I knew something irreversible had happened. Not because of what she bought. Not because of what she wore. Not even because of where she'd been. But because she didn't deny any of it. She poured a glass of juice, sat across from me, and asked, "Do you want to hear the truth now, or should I shower first?" That's where this begins. And believe me, it only goes downhill from here. She stirred her orange juice with her finger. Not a spoon. Not a straw. Just her index finger, slowly tracing lazy circles in the glass like we weren't on the edge of something irreversible. I remember watching the pulp swirl and thinking, who the hell is this woman sitting across from me? "I guess you want the full version," she said, wiping her wet finger on her shirt, the one I still didn't recognize. "Okay. I'll start from when the Uber dropped us off. Or do you want me to skip to the part where I lost my phone?" That was the moment I realized she wasn't panicked. She wasn't defensive. She was prepared. Like she had rehearsed the whole thing during the drive home. Like she had picked a version of the story that sounded just tragic enough to soften the guilt without sounding like an outright betrayal. Like she thought she could still keep this marriage standing, even if it was with duct tape and silence. "I just want the truth," I said. My voice cracked. I sounded small. Pathetic. I hated how I sounded in that moment, but it was all I had left. Cambria leaned back in her chair and sighed like she was about to tell me a work drama or something petty about her coworker. "We never made it to the cabin," she began. Well, not all of us. Apparently, the group had stopped downtown for drinks before heading to Asheville. One of the bridesmaids, a girl named Becca, had a friend who worked at some rooftop lounge and promised to get them VIP access. "Just for an hour," Cambria said. "Just one drink." That one drink turned into 3. Then shots. Then someone, maybe Becca, maybe one of the bartenders, suggested they move the party somewhere less boring. And somehow, a few of them ended up in the back of a black SUV, laughing too loud, already tipsy, headed to a hotel bar across town. "So we split up," Cambria said. "Some girls went to the cabin. I stayed with Becca. I didn't plan to. It just happened fast. I asked the obvious question. Why didn't you call me? Text me? Say anything?" She shrugged. "I lost my phone. It slipped out of my purse. I didn't notice until way later." I looked over at the unfamiliar purse again, the one she brought home. "That's not your purse," I said quietly. She glanced at it. For the first time since walking in, she looked uncomfortable. "No, it's Becca's. We must have switched by accident. I didn't check until I was already halfway home. That's when I stood up. I didn't know why. Maybe to get space. Maybe to feel taller, more in control. But I couldn't sit across from her anymore. My legs carried me to the sink, my hands gripping the counter, knuckles white. "Did you sleep at the hotel?" I asked. Long pause. "Yes. Alone." Even longer pause. "I don't think you want to hear this, Ellis." Wrong answer. I turned around slowly. "Try me." She looked down into her juice, her voice quiet. "I didn't sleep much. I drank too much. Things got blurry. I remember dancing. I remember someone helping me up the stairs. I remember a room. And waking up with a headache. That's it. That's it." I echoed. "That's all you're giving me?" She set the glass down. "What do you want me to say? That I planned it? That I ran off with someone on purpose? I didn't. I messed up. I know that. But it's not like I was out there looking to hurt you. I felt a wave of nausea rise in my throat. My hands trembled. You bought emergency contraception. She went still. You didn't lose your phone, I said. You just didn't want me to find it. And that's when the worst moment hit. She didn't deny it. She didn't cry. She didn't beg for forgiveness. She just whispered, Ellis, I didn't think you'd ever find out. There it was. Not regret. Not even shame. Just the bitter truth. She only felt sorry because she got caught. And I still hadn't looked inside that purse. I don't know what it says about me that I stood there, in my own kitchen, staring at that purse like it was a bomb. Because in a way it was. Not explosive in a fire and shrapnel kind of way. No, this was a slow burn kind of destruction. The kind that eats through the floorboards of your trust 1 inch at a time until you fall straight through the life you thought you built. Cambria watched me. She didn't try to stop me. She just leaned against the fridge with her arms crossed, wearing that Savannah Jazz Festival shirt like it was hers, like she'd earned the right to be comfortable in the wreckage. I walked toward the table. My fingers hesitated at the zipper of the tan purse. There was a part of me, the last remaining part, that hoped I wouldn't find anything. That maybe it was Becca's bag and not some symbol of something much worse. But the second I opened it, that fantasy died. First thing I saw, a room key card, black and silver, with the name of a luxury hotel downtown printed at the bottom. The same hotel we used to walk by and joke, maybe someday we'll splurge for a night there, like rich people. Guess she beat me to it. Then came the makeup bag, lip gloss, mascara, a condom wrapper, used, folded inside a tissue. I dropped it like it burned my fingers. My heart was pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. I looked up at her. Her face had gone pale. You weren't planning to tell me about this? I asked. Cambria opened her mouth like she had something prepared, but no words came out. I reached back into the bag, found a crumpled note. I wish I were making this up. Thanks for last night. You taste like trouble. J. That was it. No number. No last name. Just that one letter. She closed her eyes when I read it aloud. I wanted to scream. I wanted to throw something. I wanted to break the glass, the table, the silence, anything. But instead, all I could say was, who the hell is Jay? She bit her lip. Didn't answer. You said you didn't remember anything. I said, my voice rising despite myself. But you clearly remembered enough to keep this crap. That's not my purse, she said quickly, grasping at the lie again like it would save her. Ellis, I told you, that's Becca's. No, I said, holding up the note. Becca's not the one who came home in a stolen t-shirt, without a phone, and a pregnancy scare in her pocket. She stepped forward then. Just one step. Okay, fine. I remember some of it. But it was a blur. I didn't plan anything. It just happened. That's supposed to make it better? I laughed. It was a bitter, pathetic laugh. You just accidentally hooked up with a guy who left you handwritten thank you notes. Cambria's eyes darted to the purse like it was betraying her. I don't even know his last name. I swear. It wasn't supposed to be. It wasn't supposed to be what? I cut in. Me finding out. You getting caught. Silence. I sat down again because my knees were starting to shake. I felt cold all over, like the kitchen had dropped 10 degrees in an instant. I was asleep in our bed. I muttered, thinking about texting you a dumb meme. I was planning to surprise you when you got back with those bagels you love from Claremont Bakery. And you, my voice cracked again. You were in some stranger's hotel room, with someone who thinks you taste like trouble. She wiped at her face, but I couldn't tell if it was a tear or just frustration. I don't know what you want me to say. I want you to want to say something, I replied. I want you to look me in the eyes and actually show up as the woman I married. The one who used to apologize when she was late for dinner, not the one who cheats and hopes I just forget. That hit her. I saw it, but it was too late. She sat down across from me again. So what now? She asked, and the way she said it, so calm, so rehearsed, made me realize something I hadn't admitted out loud yet. This wasn't the first time. This wasn't just one night. This was the first time she got caught, and I had no idea how far back the lies went. I didn't answer her when she asked, so what now? I just stared at the purse like it might start speaking next, like it might spill the rest of the story she clearly didn't have the courage to finish. I wasn't angry anymore. Not in the way you yell or punch a wall. I was something worse. Something quieter. I was unraveling from the inside, thread by thread, and she was watching it happen like she wasn't sure if she was supposed to stop it or let me come completely apart. I needed air. I needed distance. I told her I was going for a walk, even though my legs were shaking and my chest felt like a vice. She didn't follow me, didn't ask where I was going, just said, "Take your time." So I walked. I didn't know where I was headed. I ended up at a gas station a few blocks away, just standing there in the snack aisle staring blankly at a row of granola bars. I must have looked insane. A middle-aged man gripping the edge of a shelf, breathing like he'd just run a mile, next to a stack of expired Pop-Tarts. Then something happened. Her phone rang. Not mine. Hers. It took me a second to realize it was coming from her purse, the one I still had over my shoulder. I didn't even remember bringing it with me. But there it was, buzzing softly from the inside pocket. I froze. What phone? She told me she lost hers. But the sound was unmistakable, the vibration, the short ringtone she always used for texts. I pulled the purse off my shoulder, unzipped the inside, and there it was. Her actual phone. Not locked. Not dead. Fully charged. Still warm from use. And full of messages. I shouldn't have looked. But at that point, what was left of my dignity couldn't outweigh the need for truth. I tapped the screen. Notifications flooded in. Some were group chats from her friends, the girls from the party. Others were more disturbing. A thread labeled J. I didn't want to open it. I did anyway. The last message from him. "You left this morning without saying goodbye." That wasn't part of the deal. "Don't ghost me, troublemaker." The one before that. "Next time, no holding back. I want the version of you you're scared to show your husband." The timestamps didn't lie. These weren't from one drunk mistake. The thread went back weeks. Photos. Flirty banter. Her complaining about how Ellis never listens, or Ellis still thinks date night means takeout and Netflix. There were voice notes. Little recordings of her laugh, her whispers, her secrets. Sent to a man I'd never met, but who apparently knew my wife better than I did. And then, like some cruel twist of fate, the phone vibrated again in my hand. An incoming call. "Jay." I didn't even think. I answered. Said nothing. Just breathed. "Cambria." His voice was low, confident, like he didn't expect her to answer but hoped she would. "Hey, I know you're probably mad or embarrassed or whatever, but you don't have to be. Last night was amazing. You were amazing." Silence from my end. He chuckled. "You there? Say something." I stayed quiet. Then he sighed. "All right. If this is your husband or something, congrats, she's incredible. But don't blame her. She deserves more than whatever routine you've trapped her in. She's a wildfire. Don't try to cage that." And he hung up. I stared at the screen for a long time before it went black in my hand. I walked out of the gas station, still holding the phone, and felt like someone had taken a sledgehammer to my chest. When I finally got home, she was sitting on the couch, pretending to scroll through some magazine like we weren't past the point of pretending. I tossed the phone on the table. "You lied about everything," I said. "Even your damn location." She didn't flinch. "I talked to him," I said. "He called." I answered. That made her pause. And for a split second, I saw it, fear. Not regret. Not guilt. Just the dread of someone who finally realized the mask wasn't working anymore. "You don't understand," she said. "You never." "No," I interrupted. "You don't understand. I spent 6 years building a life around a version of you that never even existed. And I just met the man who knew you better in 1 month than I did in half a decade." I turned away. Not because I was finished, but because if I stayed in that room another second, I might say something I couldn't come back from. And I hadn't even opened the photos folder on her phone yet. I didn't go back to her that night. I didn't go upstairs. Didn't brush my teeth. Didn't even take off my shoes. I sat in my car in the driveway like a ghost of myself, engine off, phone in hand, her phone, the real one, unlocked and open in my lap. I stared at the black screen until it dimmed and went dark again, the weight of that silence pressing on me like I was being held underwater by something invisible but merciless. I knew what I had to do, but I also knew what it would do to me. The Photos app. That innocent little flower icon now looked like a loaded weapon, and I was the fool who just figured out the safety was off. I opened it. Thousands of pictures. Some of them familiar, vacations, brunches, her niece's birthday party. I even saw a shot of me from a few months ago, asleep on the couch, mouth open, a popcorn bowl on my chest. She had written, "Cutest dork alive," in the caption. I stared at that one too long, wondering if it was real, wondering if she ever meant it, or if she was already slipping away from me even then. Then I found the hidden album. It asked for a passcode. I guessed her birthday. Wrong. I guessed the date of our wedding. Wrong again. I tried the name of her dog from childhood. That worked. The album opened. 43 photos and 4 videos. The first photo was her in front of a mirror in that same tan purse outfit, the one she came home wearing. But the shirt was off one shoulder, and there was a man behind her, his face cropped out, hand around her waist. Her smile wasn't nervous. It wasn't drunk. It was seductive, practiced, like she knew exactly what the camera would see and didn't care. I kept scrolling. Each image made it worse. Her at the rooftop lounge. Her in the elevator. Her in that hotel room. Her in that bed, and then the bed without her. The final picture was blurry, like someone else took it, and it wasn't a selfie. She was asleep, wrapped in white sheets, bare shoulders exposed, hair messy. The timestamp was 5:03 a.m. The caption read, "Still here. Still perfect." I could hear my own breathing now. Loud. Uneven. The kind of breathing you do before a panic attack. I knew there were videos too. I hovered over the first one, debating. It started automatically. The sound came first, giggling. Not drunk giggling. Playful. Intimate. The frame was shaky. Hotel room. She was sitting at the edge of the bed, facing the camera, wearing only the hotel robe, untied. She looked at whoever was filming and said, "You're really doing this?" The man's voice answered, "You said you wanted to remember what it feels like to be seen." She laughed again. Not nervous. Not ashamed. Just delighted. "Okay then. Make me unforgettable." I closed the phone. My hands were sweating. I felt a scream trying to claw its way out of my chest, but it never came. Just silence again. That horrible, dense silence. Like grief had moved in permanently and was rearranging the furniture in my soul. I didn't sleep. Just sat there, feeling like time stopped. When the sun rose, she texted me from inside the house, from her backup phone. I saw the preview flash across the screen like a cruel joke. "We should talk." "No, I'm sorry." No explanation. Just that. I walked into the house and didn't say a word. She was sitting on the stairs, blanket over her legs, like she was recovering from something I did. When she saw me holding the phone, her eyes didn't even widen. She just sighed. "You went through my stuff," she said, like I'd stolen from her. I nearly laughed. "You think that's the crime?" "I didn't want you to see it like that," she whispered. "You mean see it at all?" I stood there in the doorway, phone still unlocked in my hand. "He filmed you. You posed for him. You sent him voice notes about how boring I am. How invisible. But I'm the one who betrayed your trust." "Ellis, I heard what you said in that video." I cut her off. "You said you wanted to feel seen. That I made you feel invisible." She looked away. "I cooked for you. I worked late so you didn't have to. I watched those dumb shows you like. I learned your sister's coffee order. I sat next to you at your grandmother's funeral and didn't leave your side for days. And you gave yourself to some guy named Jay because I don't light enough candles when I make pasta?" She finally looked up at me. Eyes wet. I felt like I was disappearing. I nodded slowly. "Well, congratulations, Cambria. You finally made yourself visible." To him. To me. To the whole damn camera roll. She didn't have anything left to say. And I didn't have anything left to save. You know how people say the truth will set you free? They never tell you it might also gut you on the way out. That it might rearrange your memories into something unrecognizable. That even the good ones, the ones you swore were safe, suddenly feel like lies too. I should have stopped after the video. That would have been enough. Any sane person would have walked away, dropped the phone, packed a bag, slammed a door, burned something maybe. But I wasn't looking for closure. I wasn't looking for revenge. I was looking for how long. I needed to know when this actually started. Because something inside me refused to believe this whole nightmare was born from one bachelorette party. It didn't make sense. Nothing added up. So I went deeper. I opened her email. Same password. She never changed it. She probably didn't think she had to. The inbox was mostly junk, shopping promotions, Instagram notifications, old receipts from Amazon. I almost gave up. But then I saw a folder labeled freelance inquiries. Cambria used to write product descriptions on the side for extra cash. But that folder had been untouched for months. Except one email. Starred. Not even opened yet. Subject line, payment confirmation, Palm Suite 2709. It was from the hotel. Date, 3 weeks before the bachelorette party. It wasn't a group booking. It wasn't related to any friend's wedding. The confirmation listed one guest, a Ms. Cambria Rayner. That broke me. This wasn't spontaneous. This wasn't a drunken mistake wrapped in a bad decision. She'd been meeting him before the party, before any wine-fueled detour. This was planned, scheduled, Rehearsed. I clicked into the email thread. There was another message underneath it. Sent the day after that stay. From Jay. You left your earrings again. Either you're forgetful, or you want me to keep collecting little pieces of you. Either way, you know where to find them. There was a photo attached. She was standing in the hotel room, laughing, arms over his shoulders, his face cropped out, but his hand unmistakably gripping the hem of her dress. She'd captioned it on her phone. That was the night I almost told Ellis the truth. I dropped the phone on the table and staggered back like it had bitten me. My whole body went cold. My ears started to ring. I gripped the edge of the countertop just to stay upright. She'd almost told me? So she considered it? What, was I supposed to be grateful she didn't go through with it? She knew this was wrong long before the Bachelorette party. She had time to stop. She had windows, hours, entire days she could have chosen to stay loyal, to confess, to even fight for us if she wanted. But she didn't. She chose him, not just once, but again and again, and then still came home, curled up beside me like nothing had changed. I thought of all the times I kissed her on the forehead while she pretended to be tired. Of all the times she said, work ran late, or Haley needed to vent, or I was stuck in traffic. How many of those nights were lies? How many times was she sitting in some hotel room, laughing with a stranger, while I was home microwaving dinner and folding her laundry? I didn't realize she was standing behind me until I felt her presence, like the air had shifted. I turned around slowly. She looked pale, hollowed out. You read the emails, she said quietly. I did, I answered. She swallowed hard. You were never supposed to see that one. I almost laughed again. Why? Because that one ruins the fairy tale version of your cheating. She blinked fast. I didn't want to hurt you. No, you didn't want me to leave you. I stepped closer. That's the difference. I was going to tell you eventually, eh? No, you weren't, I snapped. You were going to keep lying until you got bored, or sloppy, or until he dumped you first. Her mouth trembled. I thought I could stop. I thought I could get it out of my system and come back to us. I stared at her. Do you hear yourself? You talk like I'm a job you clock in and out of. Like we're something you can put on pause while you go try other versions of yourself. She didn't reply. I don't even know who I married anymore. Then came the silence. That heavy, all-consuming silence that wraps around you like wet cement. She didn't fight back. Didn't defend it. Maybe she finally saw it, the full cost of what she'd done. But then, before she turned away, she said something I didn't expect. He told me you'd never leave. And that shattered the last remaining piece. Not only had she betrayed me, but she'd made me the joke in someone else's story. The reliable, gullible husband who'd never walk away, no matter what. I stared at her for a long time, my mouth dry, my thoughts racing. And in that moment, something inside me shifted. I realized she wasn't afraid of losing me, because she truly believed I had nowhere else to go. The strange thing about betrayal is how quiet it is. Not in your mind, no, in there. It's a war zone. But outside, life just keeps going. The fridge still hums. The mail still arrives. The neighbor still walks by with his damn dog and waves like everything is fine. And your wife, the woman who filmed herself half-naked for another man and let him call her troublemaker, stands in the same kitchen she once danced barefoot in, looking you in the eye, and says, you wouldn't actually leave me, would you? I didn't answer her. Not right away. Instead, I walked past her. Not to make a point, not to scare her. I just needed a place to think. My feet took me to the garage. It's where I used to go to reset, to fix something, build something, tune out the world. I hadn't touched my old workbench in months. Her art supplies had started to creep into the space anyway. I barely noticed when it stopped feeling like mine. But that night, the garage felt like the only room left that hadn't lied to me. I sat on an old folding chair and stared at the wall. My breath was shallow. My hands numb. I kept trying to process everything at once. The video, the hotel, the note, the phone call, the message that said he thought I was a routine. That I was the invisible man keeping the lights on while she went out and lived her double life. And that's when I saw it. A small, black backpack under the shelf. One of those drawstring ones she used for yoga or hiking or whatever new phase she was in that month. It was half-zipped, tucked in a corner like it had been hastily hidden. I don't know why I opened it. Maybe I already knew. Inside were things she didn't want me to see. A second burner phone. No password, just swipe to unlock. A toothbrush. Travel-sized deodorant. A pair of black heels I hadn't seen in our closet in over a year. And a pack of mints. Her cheating kit, basically. There were texts on the phone too. This time not from Jay. These were from a different name. Miles. When can I see you again? I miss how you look at me when no one else is watching. You said this wasn't just about fun. Tell me that's still true. I froze. Scrolled faster. Different hotel name. Different tone. A picture, blurry, nighttime, her in the passenger seat of a car, laughing at something outside the window. Miles had written, "You looked happiest when you weren't going home." That was the moment I realized. Jay wasn't the only one. He wasn't even the first. I dropped the backpack like it was radioactive. My heart wasn't racing anymore. It was numb. Like my brain had finally said, "This is too much. We're shutting you down now." I walked back into the house, and there she was. Still on the stairs. Same spot. Like she hadn't moved an inch. She looked up at me with the same fake softness she always used when she thought I was about to break. "I found the bag," I said. Her face fell. "The one with the burner phone," I added. She stood up slowly. "Ellis, please." "How many are there?" I asked. "J. Miles. Anyone else you want to confess to before I discover them myself?" She opened her mouth, then closed it. That told me everything. "You weren't bored," I said, stepping closer. "You were building an escape plan." She shook her head, tears now starting to fall. "No, it wasn't like that." I was confused. "No, Cambria," I said firmly. "You were committed to the confusion. You had a backup life packed into a damn gym bag. You had burner phones and hotel points. You were training for this." "I didn't mean to hurt you," she whispered. I stared at her. "You didn't just hurt me. You hollowed me out." Silence again. She sat back down, covered her face with her hands. And for the first time since this all started, I didn't feel desperate. I didn't feel like begging. I didn't feel like screaming or breaking down or demanding answers. I felt something closer to clarity. I walked upstairs, packed a bag, nothing dramatic, just a few essentials. I didn't leave a note. I didn't tell her where I was going. I didn't know her that. But I did take one thing before I left, something I hadn't touched in years. My old wedding vows. They were still tucked in my nightstand. I read them one last time. The part where I said I would never give up on us echoed like a joke through my skull. Then I folded the paper, slipped it into her pillowcase, and walked out the door. Because she needed to feel what emptiness really was. I didn't go far at first. Just checked into a small roadside inn about 40 minutes outside the city. The kind of place with no fancy lobby and a vending machine that still sold root beer. It wasn't glamorous, but it was quiet. That's what I needed. A place where no one knew my name or my history or that I'd just walked away from a 6-year lie. The first night was hard. Not because I missed her. That feeling had already started to evaporate, but because I didn't know who I was without her. When you're the steady one, the guy who holds the house together, pays the bills, walks the dog, remembers anniversaries. What do you become when all of that no longer matters to anyone? But by the second morning, something shifted. I woke up without that weight on my chest. I walked to a nearby diner and had coffee without checking my phone. No one expected anything from me. And for the first time in years, I realized I didn't have to explain myself to anyone. That's when her message came in. It was short, just a few lines. "I'm sorry. For real. I know you won't believe me, but I wish I had never met him. Any of them. I lost the only person who ever truly loved me. You didn't deserve this. You never did." And then, at the end, something that surprised me. "If you ever want to talk, I'll be here." Not expecting, just hoping. I stared at the screen for a while. I didn't feel angry. I didn't feel broken anymore. I just felt done. Like the war was over, and I had survived it. I didn't reply. Not because I wanted to punish her, but because I didn't need to anymore. Instead, I got back in my car and drove. Not back home. Not toward the past. I went west. Toward the mountains. Toward whatever was next. And as I drove, I remembered something my grandfather once told me when I was a kid. Some storms come just to clear the path. He was right. It took losing everything I thought I needed to realize I was still whole. 2 months later, I found an apartment on a hill just outside Asheville. Small place. Big windows. A community garden out back. I started working remote full-time, started jogging in the mornings, even joined a book club, me, the guy who used to fall asleep to spreadsheets. And then something funny happened. At that same diner, over a second cup of coffee and a shared table, I met someone. Her name's Delaney. She's quiet, kind, and nothing like Cambria, and that's exactly what makes her special. We've only been out a few times. No rush. No pressure. But when she laughs, it's real. And when she looks at me, I don't feel invisible. I feel seen. So yeah, This story started with betrayal, with lies and silence and loss. But it ends here, in a quiet place, in peace, with a man who's finally building something for himself. I'm not healed all the way, but I'm getting there. And for the first time in a long time, that's enough.